Hello, fans of Let's Be Real. Welcome to another episode, another post-match after the game at the Bernabeu. Today I'm joined with Sahel, and before we go into the bits of the game, firstly we talk about let's give awards to our sponsors, Manscaped, and for all the meal upkeeps that you need and meal grooming that you need. You can just go up to our sponsors, Manscaped, and with the code LBR20, you'll be eligible for a 20% discount. And furthermore, we also have Fanatics on ours as also our new sponsor for the season. They are the official Merc partners of La Liga and Real Madrid as well. So to support us, you can also get some LBR20. You'll be eligible for. To support us, you can also get some fresh Real Madrid kits, just like the ones that Kylian Mbappe and Jude Bellingham are donning from Fanatics. And also, that will be a way of, supporting both the club and our podcast as well. And without further ado, once again, I welcome you to, the post-match of the game against Espanyol at the Santiago Bernabeu. And Sahel, I welcome you today to be my co-pilot. How are you doing, man? Literally, and, and figuratively.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Farouk.
How are you doing, man? How was the first? Let's get your first takeaways from the game.
Oh man, I mean, from the Stuttgart game, obviously another like upgrade, because when we watched the game against Stuttgart, it was better than what we were used to watching the games before that. So I believe most of our fan base should be pretty pleased. And like in terms of build up, in terms of rotating players, and the way we scored the goals, especially in the second half. Obviously, the first half was again goalless, which is something we talk about every game. But overall, yeah, just great feelings, because when your team scores 4 goals, and on a day like this, is you can't not be happy about it, right?
Definitely,
Especially after the start we've had to the season.
I couldn't agree more. I actually felt like this was, a step in the right direction. It was one of the better performances. I don't know if you would agree with that or not.
I
Uh,
do.
But again, I would just like to get your view on the whole lineup, because the game before the game started, we saw the lineups and we saw Arda Güler is coming in for Vinicius Junior. We saw what's it called, Fran Garcia coming in for Ferland Mendy, and then the Carval centre back experiment was cancelled with Tchouaméni dropping back to partner Militao, and Carval playing on the side, and then we had the midfield trio of Jude Bellingham, Fede Valverde, and Luka Modric. What was your initial take before the game, of course, on the lineup?
I was pretty pleased with the lineup, man, because it's always great to see rotations. You've seen Ancelotti in the past do like go games on the roll without changing the lineup.
Yeah,
And as much as that brings consistency with results, we just wanted to see something different. And time and again this season, in like the 7 games so far, I feel like Ancelotti's rotated quite a bit. Particularly with Fran Garcia and Arda Güler, I was pretty happy, because Fran, again, he's been working hard this season. He's physically much stronger than he was last season. He's not just like this one-dimensional player who all he can do is like go behind and cross the ball. He's much more balanced in that aspect. And also Arda Güler, like every time he seems to get on the ball, he's doing something magical. He's creating something out of nothing, which has always been the case with him, but he hasn't always gotten the minutes. So I'm just happy that a player like him and also Fran, they're both getting the minutes. We spoke about Ferland Mendy being basically invisible, because he offers nothing in the final third, as we know. So I think with dropping Vinicius, and with dropping Mendy especially, Ancelotti sent sort of a message to his players that nobody's undroppable anymore. No matter how like defensively resilient you are, or no matter how much of a big name you are. And with the centre back, I feel like it's just something that's been forced onto us. And Tchouaméni should have started against Stuttgart at centre back, but Ancelotti realized that midway through the game. And today I feel like he's again reverted on that mistake, sent Militao to the left side of the defense, and then played Tchouaméni and the right centre back. I feel like he was pretty solid for himself over there. Uh, his decision making early into the game was a bit shaky, but after that, I feel like he was strong on the ball and overall just pretty good. Playing Carvalho in his natural position is just always the right thing to do, because you don't want Lucas Vazquez starting. You don't want him playing more than say 30 minutes. It's always a risk.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And also one thing also I would like to point out as well is that, we always talk about, Ferland Mendy or lack of Ferland Mendy, but one thing you could see in the game today was that Fran Garcia helped the team move the ball faster. Fran Garcia helped the team, I feel like he was more daring in my, of course, like it's not even, I think it's not
No,
something
great.
like it's, I mean, it's Ferland Mendy. He literally had 10 successful crosses across 38, across 40 something last season, He had zero true balls, so I think it's just normal. But I kind of feel like, the presence of Frank Garcia actually, like, you can make fun of his defensive inputs or like crossing into the box where there is no one. But like, I feel like those combinations with the attackers helped Real Madrid be more fluid today. Because one thing we could see today, at least from my perspective, was that in the last games, I've always wondered, like, we have such fast players, but we are really slow.
Yeah,
But today, at least for the first time this season, I felt like we were fast. We lost the ball, we recovered the ball in less than 5 to 10 seconds. We win back the ball. You
right.
understand? We are going again. You understand? Like, so, like, there is that interchanges. And the one thing also I would like to pinpoint also here is like, I know Arda Güler had a lot of like mistakes today as well, but I
Yeah,
was really like impressed with the bravery of the positions he's taking. In
true.
the sense that, okay, like he started like as a right winger, but like we could see certain times in the game like he was the
He was
deep.
helping Modric a lot in the half
Exactly, like
spaces. Yeah,
exactly. So I feel like that also helped a lot, honestly, like in the way we were able to move the ball. And I would say for me also one big takeaway is like honestly, Kylian Mbappe, he's starting to get into stride. Of course, like okay, like he's shooting straight at the keeper and all that, but like he's starting to make those moves. He's starting to get into the stride and to be the player that we know he can be. And it's really good. And you look at it again, again, another game with Jude Bellingham, and it's absolutely, literally bossed the game. Like this is just what he does. Jude was really good. But one player that if I felt any player had a letdown today I think was Fede Valverde. I felt like his passes were off color, like either they were like undercooked or overcooked and
right.
stuff like that. I feel
But
like
he
there
he was
was
still playing. He wasn't playing in his usual box to box role. He was playing as a six today. So you can't really, like, you've got to excuse him for that, because to get the best out of Modric right now, you can't have Modric as a lone pivot. He's not as press resistant as he used to be, and to see Modric flourish the way he did today and not like flop like his previous start, you have to sacrifice a Valverde and put him where Modric usually is.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I mean, like the role he plays should not affect the quality of the passes he's able to give as well, because I
Okay.
feel like a lot of his passes were either undercooked or overcooked as well, you understand? So there is, of course, like he wasn't in the box to ball role, and I understand the point you're making validly, but I just felt like, he was a bit like his distribution was a bit of a let off. Of course, like, yeah, we know that he had a contribution to the eventual goal eventually as well, but yeah, like, there is that. But overall, I felt like, the start to the game wasn't that bad. I don't know what you felt like. The first half I felt like was okay. There was no goal, which again is I think
Mhm.
the fifth or the sixth
Making a
game.
big deal about, yeah, but today it was a different story. If anybody who watched the game can tell you that.
Exactly, exactly. So we talk about it's a different story, but then we come out in the second half and against the run of play, like all of a sudden Espanyol find themselves ahead with an own goal from Thibaut Courtois. I don't know, what was your take on that goal, on the own goal?
On the own goal, I feel like it's easy to look at it as a Thibaut Courtois mistake, but more than that, you look at the play that preceded that, and Caval was in the box for a cross from Jude Bellingham, and he couldn't score, and then the goalkeeper, Espanyol goalkeeper, he got the ball, and he marked that the space behind where Caval is supposed to be, and the run was there, and the ball was there within the next 5 seconds. And Carval was running back. He ran back through the entirety of the pitch, but he couldn't get there. And I feel like if Carval is not there, I mean, that's just the two-sidedness of the way Carval plays his game. And again, we saw the other side of that coin when Carval scored the goal, or he got onto the end of another chance. So It's just something we've got to take with Carvalho and even with Fran Garcia, because again, he's playing so high up on the pitch. Those sort of things are bound to happen. Courtois, he has a knack of getting beaten through his legs. He's had that as Chelsea, but I think it's the first time we've seen it at Madrid. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong with this.
Actually, I would know. I would see that this like that's the thing. Like, it was a freak goal in my opinion. I kind of felt like it was a goal that, as the commentators of the commentary I was watching was also mentioning, like it's like a cross that's a shot or not a shot. So like it's kind of tricky as well. But I kind of feel like, okay, you made a point about about Carval, being up top, and that's why the space was created and all that. But I felt we recovered. I personally felt like, like Arda Güler like did a half decent job covering that, because like he ran, his ass off, and he was able there to like cover the position, because 99 times out of 100, that's not a threatening, like that ball was not a threatening ball.
Yeah.
You understand? So like basically you killed the threat by, like the way like they were able to cover to cover the space eventually. It was just that, okay, like as you said, like it didn't just yeah, it went through the legs of Courtois one way or another, and it was a strange goal that, like, if it's replayed 100 times, I'm sure Courtois would, keep the
He
ball
will
out a
save it, yeah.
hundred times. So that's just the thing. But yeah, about the knack of getting balls through is like, yeah. Also, I can't remember something off the top of my head for Real Madrid, honestly, because
Yeah.
I feel like since he moved to Real, like he's kicked into a different gear, like from his Chelsea days. Honestly, not even a different gear. I think 2 years or something like that. He
Yeah,
was really
and that was clearly on show in the previous game.
exactly against Stuttgart, right?
You
Yeah,
can't,
that's
yeah,
that's the truth.
can't
There isn't
pick
doubt
his
about that.
mistakes.
Yeah, but then as you said, that's the thing. Like we concede first, and all of a sudden, the urgency. Like I feel like and that was the thing that was, the run behind the back of my mind is that, okay, finally, like we're starting to play. Okay, this is not what like this team's final destination is going to look like. But like
Yep.
we're starting to like, like take a step in the right direction. There is urgency, there is pace, there is, like winning back the ball, pinning. I mean, we played almost 45 minutes of the first half in the half of Espanyol. You understand? Like it was almost like basically a field trip,
An
for Real
onslaught,
Madrid.
if more than anything.
Exactly, it was an onslaught, you understand? But I was just thinking, like, okay, finally we get to do all this, and then we concede a goal out of the blue, against nothing. I was like, bro, like, imagine
And
if
free
we
goal for that.
lose.
So I wasn't exactly like upset about the goal, but I was just curious about our luck as a team, our fortunes. And I knew we were going to turn that around. It took just 4 minutes to level the game, but
Yeah,
yeah, man, we deserved a goal in the
yeah,
first half.
exactly. So like,
If not for our
exactly,
uh,
so that's the thing. Like,
finishing.
yeah, the finishing, right? Yeah, 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 exactly. So that's the crazy thing, you talk about the luck and what is not. But anyways, like that was just the thought that was running in my mind, like, bro, like if we don't win this game after like, playing at least good for the first time in ages, like that would have been, like that would be like been really, really painful, honestly. But then what happens then, we see Fede Valverde, I think with his very first meaningful contribution in the game, correct me if I'm wrong, with the,
Mhm.
stinging shot to the goalkeeper, which he was unable to handle, parried it away, and then of course the defender as well, like
Bellingham. Bellingham
dribbling.
steals it from the midfielder, yeah, from the defender.
Exactly. Exactly. Bellingham takes the ball, again, similar situation with the goal that Courtois considered as well, across a shot across a point of goal. So like the keeper also like let it squirm under his arm, and Carval was there, to bundle the ball into the back of the net. And as you just alluded to, this is one of the roles that we see with Carval, because earlier for the goal that was considered, you rightly highlighted that the fact that, okay, the space that was exploited was a space that was vacated by Carval to be able to get into the box to finish a chance, and now we see that we reap the benefit of such movements. You understand? While you can criticize
Yep.
the emptiness of the space that has been created, but you also have to, uh, again, credit the fact that, the ability to actually form into the box is what created that empty space, which also is what allowed him to be able to be there to poke the ball, into the back of the net. But I mean, but one thing I'm gonna just post to you now is that, like, we're seeing this more with Carval. Do you think everyone knows what I think of Real Madrid and their coaching staff and the coaching strategy and what is and what is not. But this is something that has been highlighted like last year also. Like there was something on Amazon
Okay.
Prime talking about the fact that like the assistant coaches, especially like Francesco Mauri, and they actually like devised a plan for Carvajal to pop up in unconventional positions. such as the corners he scored last year. Of
Mm.
course, prime example will be in the final of the Champions League and stuff like this. But like, I don't know, like, do you think it's more of a systematic thing or is just the evolution of a player of Carval? Because like we haven't seen Carval in taking central positions before. Like,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least I don't remember that. Well, I don't know. Do
I
you
feel
think
like
it's
it's more his evolution as a player because he's just come off one of his best, if not his best position as an individual, best year as an individual in that position.
yeah.
So I feel like his evolution as a right back has, and even the game's idea of right back has gone from a very conventional up and down sort of player to a player who now offers more in central areas. So Carvajal, while he's able to do that, I feel he's still sticking out to the touchline up until like the final phase of play, and then he bombs the box. So it's not something you're going to see every game, like in abundance or like every 15 minutes, but once in a game or twice in a game, he's going to pop up in the box and do something weirdly like uh, unconventional, like you said. And
What
so
do
is
you,
Fran. So is Fran because Fran he naturally is just that player who he can underlap, he can overlap, and he can cross the ball. He can make combinations. He was very fearless today in the way he carried the ball into the Espanyol like defense. And the one thing that stood out with Fran for me is the fact that be it Mbappe or Bellingham or Rodrigo, none of those players are afraid of giving him the ball or like afraid of him losing it. They completely trust him. I feel like even more than sometimes Mendy is trusted with the ball.
well, I would say this for sure. Definitely, I remember a lot of situations last season and the season before where like the attacking players refuse to give the ball to Ferland Mendy, although he's taking up a good position, and because of course we know that it's
It's
Mendy.
useless.
Exactly. It's it's just a waste of chance. But anyways, going back again to Carvajal, like how long do you think Carvajal can perform at this level? Like what do you think? Like I don't know if the because the point is just like as you rightly mentioned right now, like we are seeing different variations of changes with fullbacks, you know. Right
Yeah,
now we are seeing like okay, basically like we would say like Pep is the climax of tactics and what is not. He literally doesn't play with fullbacks anymore. We
true.
are
And
seeing
Kaval is not yet that complete adaptation of what Kyle Walker is, but you're seeing signs of like at least um, you know, like a bit of revolution and a bit of moving into the new phase of football tactics. So he's not completely yet there yet, and maybe the next generation of right back that comes through, which is not there on the market yet. Like you don't have a an inverted right back on the market. You can just go on and buy. Um, like with regards to your question about how long he can keep it,
yeah,
his current level,
yeah.
I think there's a reason why Real Madrid only give their veterans a 1 year contract or 1 year extension. So they'll have to be very careful with somebody like Kaval. An injury can completely ruin his progress as a player, and I feel like this year is this year it might be his last, like his final year, the highest of levels, and then Madrid have to got to go out of the market and get a right back who can compete with him at least because Vasquez is not going to compete with him.
Yeah, I mean, Vasquez
Uh,
also 233. Like, I think they're almost the same age as.
exactly. In
So,
the long term, you need somebody, and the fans were calling for a right back to be bought in the summer, but that didn't happen because there's no good right backs on the market. I don't think available.
I mean, the point is, like, when you look at the issue of right backs, it's not about the fact that there are no good right backs available. It's the fact that you look at right backs and you think of, okay, like players like Ashraf Hakimi, like, you think of, like, players like Trent Alexander-Arnold, you're like, you think of players like Reece James, to some extent. I mean, for me, my personal
All of
choice,
them have their issues, man. And Farouk, all of them have their issues.
I
Reece
mean,
James, he's more of a wing back.
but the
Trent
point,
is
I mean,
now
the issue I have with
more of
James
a
is not about the
midfielder.
wing backness or lack thereof. The issue I have with James is that he's made of glass. He's currently injured again. You understand?
Yeah, that is also an
Oh,
issue
I
with.
think that's the biggest issue you have with that. And then you look at Trent, like I don't know what the situation is with his contract, like because this is his last official season on the contract that he has, but I do
Mhm.
think they'll extend that. So getting a player like Reece would require like I mean it will be almost impossible. And then you look like a player like Ashraf Hakimi as well, and like taking Ashraf away from PSG will be like, starting the Third World War, honestly. So like that's the thing, like, it's not like of course I know all of them have their own deficiencies individually. Like either it's the defensively or offensively, or like, like tactically and what is not. But the point is, what can you do? Like, this is what the market is right now. It's not like there, as you mentioned rightly, there is no ready-made stuff available. I mean, even we are seeing teams like Arsenal literally are playing what's he called, Tomiyasu and Timber and Calafiori
Ben
as
White, yeah, Ben White,
they're
who's a
all
natural centre back.
they're all center backs. You understand? So these are the people they are playing at. We saw even with City as well, like they converted Gaviot Ake to fullbacks as well. You know,
Yeah.
so this is the thing. Like, it's not like the market is primed with all this. But it's quite strange. But as you mentioned, I also do believe with you that like towards the end of the season, Real Madrid will start to look for, will start to think of a succession plan. I do not necessarily think it's next season. I think it's the season after that. That's where like the succession plan will actually happen.
But you need at least one transition year for a fullback.
Exactly, of course, you need one transitional. Definitely, I agree with that. There is no doubt in that. There is no doubt in that, honestly. So
Yeah.
it's I think it's going to be something interesting. But I think we definitely have to enjoy Carvalho while it's still there, because at least for the Real Madrid I've seen in my lifetime, like I think he is the best right back that I have seen play for Real Madrid. I don't know if there is of course in history there, it's Real Madrid, like it's full of crazy talents and world class generational players. But if you ask me, he's the player I've seen. So like I'm gonna say like Dani Carvalho is absolutely has been absolutely phenomenal. But anyways, like enough talk of Carval, we can just quickly move on. And after that,
What did you feel about Rodrigo on the left wing?
on the left wing today,
Yeah.
um,
He played there for what, 55, 56 minutes till Vinicius came on.
yeah. Actually, one thing I would say about Rodrigo on the left wing is that Rodrigo again tried to make stuff happen. But one interesting thing that I saw today was like there was no overcrowdedness, in my opinion, of the left wing.
Mm.
I feel
It
like
was
there
more
was
fluid. When Mbappe came
exactly,
out, Rodrigo made sure to go in the middle.
exactly,
And
exactly. So
Vinicius
like,
just doesn't do that as often.
so and also again, like there's like a semi synergy between Kylian Mbappe and Rodrigo as well. And I
Mm.
think one thing we definitely cannot say for Vinicius that we can say for Rodrigo is like Rodrigo also like brings others into play. I don't know if that
Yeah,
makes
he's very. I was just going to mention that he's, even if he's not at his very best individually, when Rodrigo is playing in his natural position, which by the way is on the left wing, he is able to combine with those around him, say Bellingham, say Mbappe, and he's about making them, those around him, flourish, even though he might not get that goal or that assist, right? Vinicius, he thrives with individual, more on the individual side, and he's not as much about making combinations. So even if Vinicius would have started with Fran, I don't think he'd have made as good use of Fran Garcia as Rodrigo did today.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
And
But
things are just more fluid when Rodrigo is on the pitch.
okay, we will get into back to
Sure,
Rodrigo.
sure.
Let's just take some comments from the chat as well. Let's see.
Yeah.
So we start from Ashik. Hey man, how are you doing, Ashik? I hope all is good. I hope you enjoyed the game. He said Mbappe player of the match, apparently. Mbappe player of the match. Well, I think Rodrigo was the official man of the match, if I'm not mistaken, right? Rodrigo was the MVP. Towards the end of the game, I saw like he was shown as the MVP, at least on the channel that I watched. But I think Mbappe was good. Mbappe was really lively. I would not take that away from Kylian Mbappe. He was quite lively, actually, honestly.
Except for the finishing, yeah.
Yeah, except for the finishing, like he was quite lively. Honestly, there is no doubt about that. But I think today was a game that honestly, like a lot of players were quite good. So like you couldn't just take away anything from anyone because as
You can give it to Bellingham. You can give it to not well, not quite Modric, but Bellingham. Yeah, he was also a contender.
honestly, like I feel like Fran Garcia was also really good today. I
Yeah,
feel like he helped a lot today, honestly. And who else? I wouldn't say Carvajal per se, but yeah, I think
purely because of the mistake for the goal. I mean, for the fact
I
that he
get
was not
that.
there.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, like Mbappe was also in the shout because, like, yeah, as I said, like for the first half, like I felt like Mbappe was the best or the better player at least. But anyways, let's move on. So we have Milan in the chat as well. He says French Lukaku leaves. Vini finally realized he's Vini, not 2015 Benz. Rodrigo get great game. I will say it again. Fran Garcia has been very good this season. Bobby Pele needs to start ASAP. He's
Oh
generating
man,
talent. We will get to Bobby later. We will get to Bobby
sure,
later.
sure. But about Vinicius,
Exactly, he talks about Vini, realize he's Vini, not 2015 Benz. So let's talk about Vinicius. Immediately after they scored the goal, Vinicius was, automatically thrown on. With, of
Yeah,
course, Arda was withdrawn, and Vini came and just literally went back to the whole Rodrigo, Vinicius, Mbappe thing again. And of course, 4 minutes later, we have the Trivela assist from Vinicius Junior to
yeah, but
Rodrigo, and
individual brilliance.
and it's a goal. Like, what do you make of that? How can you just take us through the goal?
Vinny on the left, he can again, that he has the ability to create something out of nothing, just standing in front of the defender, even with the defender right in his face, right? And that sort of thing Rodrigo might not have because Rodrigo is better when he's combining with others, he's playing passes, getting them back. The reason Vinicius was benched today because he was not getting the sort of rhythm that usually builds up with Vinicius, and the goals were dry outside of penalties, and he was just not that usual fire about Vinicius was not there. So the only adequate way to bring some of that back is to bring a fresh Vinicius against semi-fresh or like tired out players from Espanyol, and that worked because what's more scary than Vinicius coming on right off the bench, a player
Exactly.
like that who can change the game like that in a few minutes, and it took what 4 minutes for him to do that,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
and
It's quite crazy, having the ability to throw one of them. But for me, if anything, one thing I saw in this game, of course, it's just one sample size is too small. You understand? It's that what we have all said from the beginning of the season is a thing. These three players seem that they cannot coexist together. If they play together, we will not have the fluidity we had today.
I agree.
So,
The
of
only
course,
reason Vinicius performed as well as he did was because he was fresh and he was off the bench.
I mean, it doesn't have to be Vini. It can be Mbappe. It can be Rodrigo. It can be
I
either
agree.
of
Yeah.
them. What I'm just saying is that, if we have all three in the on the pitch, we don't have that first 60 minutes that we saw. Of course, yeah, okay, we know we didn't score in that period, but in my opinion, it was the best football we had played this season. You
Mhm.
understand? And we could see that, okay, these people are gonna score because why? Like they literally, as you mentioned, they were on an onslaught against Espanyol. Of course, okay, yeah, Espanyol is not like it's not Man City or Bayern Munich or Barcelona or shit like that. You understand? But okay, you can only play the team in front of you. You understand? So this is just what it is. So I feel like, in my opinion, that's what we saw, that these three are still not there yet. You understand? But again, as you rightly pointed, having someone of Vinicius's caliber, Rodrigo's caliber, Mbappe's caliber coming up against for the last 30 minutes against, a team that has been on onslaught, not semi-tired, basically tired legs, it's something that's basically, outrageous, honestly. And then, of course, we saw that immediately after the goal, a couple of minutes later, there was a mistake in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
And Mbappe got the ball, played Vinicius through, and there was only going to be one outcome of that goal as well. So of that situation. So yeah, that's the thing. It's really good. I think that's 4 goals for Vinicius right now in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Three, no,
Yeah,
three.
and that was those 30 minutes were like proper Ballon d'Or level.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
spoken before about him not being Ballon d'Or level this season. That definitely was.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Those 30 minutes, he got back because I remember we were having this conversation with Jacob for the preview as well. And we were talking about do you want to bench Vinicius or do you keep playing him? And I told I feel like you have to keep playing Vinicius because you want to play him back into form. You understand?
Mhm.
But I respect Carlo. Then it meant that dropping him and bringing him back for that 30 minutes actually was the spark that he needed
And
eventually.
against Alaves, it might be Mbappe, yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Because
Otherwise, it
it's a
could
long
have been.
season. It's a long
Yeah,
season, and you want
exactly.
to rotate your players.
Exactly. 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 Okay, let's get back to the comments. We have quite a lot. Let's, just quickly go through them. And
Sure.
so we have Sunil in the chat, and he actually brings up some quote from Carlo Ancelotti, who says, and he quotes, "We have only scored 1 goal in the first half this season. I talked about this with the players trying to fix it." And then he further goes ahead that we are satisfied. We are getting better, closest to our best version.
He's right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's fair. And I
Well
mean,
put, yeah.
there is nothing to talk about too much there. And then we have Marcos VMR also goes on to say, "What an outstanding display by the lads. We want more of this in the upcoming matches. Hala Madrid, definitely, definitely. They have to be as we have just, keep mentioning, like, it was a really good game. And then Sunit continues, says like Rodrigo on a hot streak, show my boss some love now. Definitely, Rodrigo has been the best of the three attackers in my opinion. And Ashik was like, just another day at the office, as if there is no doubt. Sunay goes on to say like Fran was very impressive. I liked him on the lapping a lot more than I thought I would. And that's the thing, honestly, like I know you talked about Fran. I just didn't want to put Fran in the conversation we had with Carvajal. I kind of feel like I personally have, shat on Fran a lot. I think he's someone that, we have to highlight and we have to give credit to, as you also did at the beginning of the pod, talking about the way, like the players trust to give him the ball and combine with for the offensive output. But I totally, agree also with Sunait's point about the underlapping as well. I feel like, as you mentioned, inverted fullbacks, this is something that we lacked a lot. And I always complain about this because I always see this like, we go from okay, like people can talk about whatever they want to see about Marcelo, but Marcelo was the best fullback in the world for almost 10 years.
Mm.
There was no doubt. Like, I mean, you weren't even thinking about it. You just think about it and you talk about, okay, yeah, left back, Marcelo is a name that literally,
Yeah.
like he's
Nobody else.
anonymous, you understand? So that's the thing. So you might have your views of what is and what is not. So that's why, like, okay, like, yeah, I know that Ferland Mendy is the best defensive fullback, but
But he offers nothing in the final third.
that's not enough.
True.
When you consider the fact that except for maybe 4 or 5 games in a season, Real Madrid are always on the front foot.
Yeah.
Okay, when we go to the Etihad, of course, like
you need Mendy for that game, for sure.
100%, I have no doubt. When you go to the Allianz, Ferland Mendy. When you go to the San Siro against Inter, Ferland Mendy. When you play Barcelona, Ferland Mendy. I have no doubt. I have no issues. But the point now becomes, we play Valladolid and you put Ferland Mendy there and like, bro, like he has just one duel in the whole 90 minutes. Then what's
I'm actually fine with this current dynamic, with Fran Garcia being sort of pushing him for his place now. Do you feel like he's pushing him for his
I
place?
don't think so, man. This is the unfortunate thing, man. I don't think Fran. I mean, we can give Fran all the love we want to do today, but Fran and Ferland Mendy at the end, like I know that Mendy has a lot of deficiency offensively, but bro,
But you want to go for reliability.
man,
I get it,
come on, man, don't forget what happened. Like, let me remember. Let me remember. I don't know, man. I forgot the game.
Oh, he got a red card.
No, not a red card, bro. Like Fran came on for Ferland Mendy, and like literally, like every one-on-one against him was like hot knife through butter, man.
Yeah.
Fran is really
It
good.
can be
Like
like that with Fran.
he's
Against better
honestly,
wingers, against a better quality of right winger, he would have
that's the
suffered.
thing, not against better quality wingers, man. Like if it was, I would
Yeah,
agree.
that's true.
Fine, you don't face that much quality. Like it's not like every week you face, the likes of Yamin Lamal or Nico Williams. It's not every week you face.
True.
Understand? But man, with Ferland, man, even if I put on a boot and I'm playing on the 7, man, I kind of feel like I will fancy my chances against, Ferland. And bro, I am no footballer, man, so that's the thing, man, honestly. So I kind of feel like, okay, yeah, they're gonna be shuffling here and there, but I just don't think, like Ferland is actually pushing. Yeah, sorry, Fran is actually pushing Ferland. But today is
But to his credit, he will get the occasional start, like Carlos has shown.
exactly, like honestly, today was one of the best or better performances I've seen from. Okay, like I remember there was a game where he crossed twice. I think 2 crosses, 2 goals last season.
Last
I can't
season, yeah.
remember which game it was, but I remember one of the goals was from Joselu as well. But anyways, like I think this was one of the best performances I've seen from Fran as well. But thinking about it again was that we actually had zero defending to do. I don't think he actually had any defensive duty.
Not much.
I could not remember anything. So that's the thing, like this game highlights his quality the most, you understand? So it was really good. So like we have to give, credit to Fran, like he was really good. But anyways, going on, we see Flame Boy saying, Espanyol, thank you for scoring the first goal. Otherwise, this match would have been a draw. And then, like, of course, they're saying, like, Espanyol didn't score the first goal. It was Courtois who scored the first goal. And then Sunaid was actually highlighting Luka Modric. He says, like, Luka Modric created 2 big chances in the first half alone. Yeah, man, you want to take it on? I know, basically you have a whole DP with Luka Modric standing there, proudly. So
Look,
I will just
Modric,
up you, man.
you have to appreciate certain parts of the player he is, and then you also have to know that he has his limitations at the age that he is, right? At the age that he's reached. that part of that is the fact that he's not as press resistant, and part of that is the fact that he can get beaten as playing as a single pivot. He can get beaten very easily. So he's not the man you want in that position. And props to Carlo for this, by the way, for switching that thing up where Valverde played not as a box to box, but now as a six, and Modric was more of a box to box, going back to his older role with Cruz, Modric, and Casemiro. So again, with his best abilities at this age, stringing together passes and like being very pinpoint precise in the right final in the right half space, especially with Arda Güler today helping him. I know Rodrigo doesn't help him as much when he's on the right wing, but Arda coming inside and like playing basically as that interior midfielder sort of unlocked a lot of like passing options for Modric. But yeah, overall, just his box to box presence was pretty good, and we saw the Modric of old. We saw the Modric that easily zipped through and unlocked defenses uh, in an instant. And it doesn't take much to get Modric going. It was just the fact that he was playing in a sort of unfavorable position the previous time that he started, and I feel like Carlos realized that.
I totally agree with you. I think that switch, yeah, as you highlighted, actually was the key, to seeing Luka playing in a more freer role. And I think I love the way you stand it out because you actually highlighted the fact that, okay, like Luka is 39. You cannot expect, there are limitations to what you can expect from Luka. Okay, yeah, Luka Modric, generational talent, Ballon d'Or. Like, I mean, anyone who has any questions about Luka Modric, man, just, close the door and just exit because you cannot even have discussions with these people, man. I mean, with all due respect, it's like having discussions with Trump supporters, man. Like, there is no point in that. Just close the door and exit. Like, it's just people that, that at that level of, I don't know, brainwashness or whatever. So, like, Luka, like, he's on a pedestal. There is nothing you can say. But as you highlighted, it's like there is a limit to where, to where he is at, so like you just know what
Yeah,
the
you have to sort of hide his flaws.
exactly by doing, and of course today we saw that by playing Valverde
Arda
as
Güler.
he was played, and
Mm.
also importantly, the role that Arda Güler was taking in support of Luka Modric as well. I felt like also helped to
Mm.
mask that deficiencies as you mentioned.
And I didn't expect that. Like he's so positionally mature to be playing, to be helping his teammates like that.
That's the thing. Like honestly, like today, I feel like it was more of a. I don't know if it was like the of course, like if it was like the tactical instruction that I was giving to Arda, but like I feel like
Mm.
Arda was today, and I say like, of course he had some mistakes here and there, some misplaced passes here and there, like he tried to do stuff too much, like he was trying to do too much at certain points in time. But this is the kind of Arda I want to say. I feel like today was a better performance, like oh, I don't know, a better positional performance compared to what we had seen
True.
in the
I
past
agree.
games. So I feel like this, I hope like we can build on this and push this forward. Let's see. I don't know, honestly, like it's a
Yeah.
good problem to have because at least today we saw, some haste, some, intensity, and
And yeah, blistering counterattacks
exactly
like
like
we
we
did, yeah.
saw the pace once again. I think for the first time this season, I saw because honestly, like they played the ball, but like there is literally zero weight on the ball. But today, like they were hitting the ball like they meant it, like the ball
Mm.
was going and the players were moving together with the ball,
I agree.
So I feel like, today was something. Going on, Ashik actually points out that next week we're going for the kill. Can you guess what he's talking about?
Alves and then Atletico Madrid.
Exactly, he's talking about the game at the Civita Metropolitano. And
Mm.
Mohamed Sunid was actually pointing out that Atleti away is always a very difficult game, with Ashik saying great teams face difficulties head on and good teams. TTT, TTT, TTT. Next week,
And and that's actually in 3 days is going to be a year since we last lost in the league, which was also against Atleti.
Atletico Madrid, yeah, definitely. Like, actually, we can quickly talk about that as well.
Yeah,
Uh, the commentators were highlighting the fact that today, with this match, Real Madrid actually completed 38 games
38, yeah, 38.
38 games without losing. So basically, that's a complete football calendar, basically a football season because it's 38 games in the league. And interestingly, the record is held by Barcelona for 43 games, And if we're to equal that record,
They're going to be a 43rd game, I think. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, Barcelona is going to be exactly our 43rd game, so which is quite strange. Well, actually, the game against Atletico Madrid is one that, especially at the Metropolitano, is a game that actually I look out a lot for because that game last year was like, I don't know how to call it, bro. Like, exactly. Let's give an example with Iron Robben. Like, you know what Iron Robben is like? He's a one-trick pony, but like he was so good that you could not stop him. Like, you literally know what he will do every day, but you could not stop it.
And this year, Atletico is stronger.
I mean, if it doesn't matter if they're stronger or not, but what happened last game was in that game was that they scored two goals without were carbon copies. The third one was
Oh,
almost a carbon copy of those. It wasn't exactly, but it was quite close to that.
yeah.
It was you get to the byline. I can't remember. Was it Samuel Lino or like I forgot who was there? Get the or
Brennan Jody, I
it
think.
was Samuel Lino, there was Antoine Griezmann as well. They were both crossing as well. They just get there, cross the ball, Morata heads it down, someone gets gets on the other one. So like that was the carbon copy for the whole match. And we knew what they were gonna do for every attack, and every attack almost felt like, a penalty for them. Like that was how crazy it was. So like that was like, bro, like we know what they're doing. We could see it, but we could just not stop it.
Yeah. And you would hope that something changes this year.
I hope something changes this year, and with Militao still not being, at the peak level, you still have, that bit of, especially now considering that, like they have like Solot, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Solot is basically a swap for, for Alvaro Morata. And then you have also
Alvarez
Alvarez now
and
as well.
Griezmann. Griezmann is really yeah, his
Griezmann,
creative juices are
man,
flowing.
Griezmann is greasy, man. Like there is nothing you can say about Greasy, man. Greasy is an
I saw
absolutely
bits of the last Atletico game and he was just pure magic, man. Even
man.
with Alvarez, and if they're not playing that well, Griezmann is always he's like that Bellingham kind of guy for them.
Exactly. Exactly. He's like that Bellingham kind of guy, except now with the creativity as well.
Yeah,
He's not just, the box to box and all that. Like he has the ability to find that pass like through the eye of the needle, man. I agree. He's a really, really good player, honestly. Like, he's an absolute legend of the game. So that game is actually one I look out for. But of course, like let's not jump ahead yet. Like,
yeah,
uh we just have to, firstly, of course, respect to Alaves. We play Alaves on Tuesday, and then, we move forward with that. And yeah, we should be back for the preview of Alaves on Monday sometime.
absolutely. Yeah,
So you guys just keep an eye out for that. And we go on, as Ashik says, completely agree with Sahel and Farouk. Mbappe was quite good and lively. I'm glad I'm not the only one who saw that. And then also he says like, yeah, MRV Trident doesn't work the way the first 60 minutes works as of now. Um, Oh wow, Ashik has a very huge claim here. He says, you guys make Ballon d'Or level look like such a high level. Don't forget Shevchenko and Owen won Ballon d'Or. Henry never did. Ballon d'Or just means you're popular, not necessarily good. Well, I know that Ashik is way older than we are, and he has seen the game much more than that, so I will take his word for it because, of course, I know like TT Henry not winning the Ballon d'Or is absolute travesty, considering the fact that, players like Pavel Nedved also won the Ballon d'Or, and I do think TT was way, way better than Nedved in 2003. Of course, Owen won in 2001 instead of Raul Gonzalez as well. So, but I don't know why he mentioned Chevy there because like Chevy is something that, he's a striker that everyone fears and respects. So I wonder why he's putting Shevchenko there. And a young Owen also was, I don't know if you've seen highlights or like read stuff
no,
about,
it's not much.
but like a young Owen was also like a formidable player, man. Like, I mean, I feel like,
And Farouk, I know I'm only 19 and I don't have much to like contribute to this conversation, but uh, it's clear and obvious that the level with the Ballon d'Or rankings has dropped. But what can you do about it, right? You have to push Vinicius because last year, I mean, agree or not, he was still one of the top two best players in the world.
well, that's true, actually. We cannot,
Regardless of whether or not the level has dropped, you still have to push Vinicius as the best player in the world.
this is just
The
the truth, man.
standard might not be the same, but who else? Who else is
I,
there?
I agree with you, man. I cannot deny that because actually, we always have this conversation with my brother, and he was like, if Vinicius actually was playing 10 years ago, Vinicius would not even crack the top 30 of the Ballon d'Or.
And that is true. That is true.
Understand? Because and of course, like because we talk about it, and like he was talking about the fact that, bro, even when you forget about Cristiano and Messi, you have players like Benzema and Bale, and what's he called, Luis Suarez, Neymar, Sergio Aguero.
Never came close.
You know,
I
like
agree.
the Lewandowski's,
Yeah.
then of course like Thomas Muller was doing his thing as well, so like you list all these players like, and then you go to the defenders and what they are, what is and what is not, like, you look at these guys and you feel like, bro, like, yeah, the levels have dropped a lot, of course it is what it is, but like,
But football has changed as a sport. It's
exactly.
going more from the
I say this as
individual.
well. I say this like honestly, like I like, I honestly like structured football. But one
Yeah,
thing I have to understand is like the advent of all these structural coaches, either it's Simeone or Pep or Klopp or Conte, it takes away all of the creativity.
exactly.
Hence, we don't see. I mean, bro, in my opinion, Robinho was better than Vinicius. In my opinion, like, okay, Robinho didn't have the output that Vinicius is showing right now, but football is different. Robinho
Yeah.
was playing with the Van Nistelrooys and the Rauls. Like, but come on, man, I didn't watch Robinho that much. I watched just 2 or 3 seasons at Real Madrid. Like, I was quite young when he was playing. But man, like Robinho was something else. You understand? Robinho
Hmm.
was something else. But Robinho was not Ronaldinho. Robinho was no De Lima as well. Like that's how the level was back then.
True.
So of course I agree. Like the level of that has dropped and football has changed a lot. It is what it is, man. Like what can we say? But it is the metric we have for quantifying. Like I mean, this is just it. Like it's what else can I quantify it? Like this is just the thing. But
Mm.
anyways, like we move on. So let's see what. So Ashik also was mentioning, like, I think it's when we're talking about Mendy and Fran, he was talking about Yamal in between Mendy. Mendy will fry him like yam, turn him into a kid lame in Yamal. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ashik.
that's going to be one. That's going to be a duel to like watch out for.
Yeah, exactly. That would be an interesting battle. Then, Ashik is our guy when it comes to, having, I don't know, tongue twisters or whatever. Like, in anyways, like playing with words. And we have Glenn Charlotti here saying that this team will show full potential when Kamavinga gets back. He brings so much to the game of
I
transition.
agree. I agree with this.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm on the fence with this, because I was also saying this, I think, to Jacob as well, that the fact that Kamavinga is because before the Stuttgart game, like everyone was like, when Jude and Tchouaméni comes back, all of a sudden the team will be better. But I was
The
like, bro,
Kamavinga is not going to start every game, and
no,
you
no,
know.
no. The point I'm trying to make here is that like Jude and Tchouaméni played the game against Atlanta. They played the game against Mallorca, and the team was sluggish. Like it's not like they have
True.
not been here. But like Kamavinga is the one player that we haven't tested in this new scenario yet.
Hmm.
So like because of that, I'm not too sure what he might or not bring. You understand? But I can understand like in the game of transition, like Kamavinga is, a player that might aid this team or not. I'm not exactly
Yeah.
sure. But I'm also really curious to see what he brings. Of course, I know that he will not start every game. I totally agree with that. I agree with you on that point as well. But I'm quite curious to see how he can, what he can add to the team and how he can add to the team. Well, I guess I think time will tell on that, man. We will just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Do you want to comment on? You want to comment on Endrick?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to take the last comment, then we can just go and
Sure.
end the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, okay, one last point here that we can take is like, Ashik also was pointing about the fact that last year we lost to Kepa because Kepa is like poor at crosses. We lost to Atletico because of Kepa because Kepa was poor at crosses, and this was the reason why Atletico Madrid was able to, feast on that. To some extent, I agree with that. But anyways, I think we can leave this for the when we come to the Athletic game, we can, highlight the things that
Yeah, the
happen.
Athletic preview.
But anyways, let's go. The Endrick penalty, just pen or no pen?
Bro, it is the most. I mean, are you asking me if that's a foul or not a foul, or where it's happened?
It's a foul. There is no doubt. Pen
Yeah,
or no
obviously.
pen. That's the point.
Pen or no pen. I was of the opinion that it was not a pen when I first watched it because he falls into the box, even though the foul's taken place outside on the other side of the line. But like regardless of whether or not that's a pen, man, the guy has a strength of he has the strength of like a bison or something, man.
He's a
He's
bull.
19. He's
He's
supposed
a,
to be 19.
he's a bull, honestly. For me, I feel like it was a harsh penalty, but it was a pen because of the reason that the feet of, I forgot the name of the guy, his right leg was
Mm.
in the box when the final contact was made. Like when the final, like, I
But
don't know,
Endrick
actually.
was not. Endrick was in fact,
No, no,
he's not into the box.
Hendrick was outside of the box. This
Yeah.
is, but because the player's feet was in the box. So like he committed the foul while he was in the box then. I don't know if that makes sense because like his feet was already in the box, like the defender.
Did VAR take a look at that?
I think they definitely checked it. I'm sure they definitely checked it.
Yeah, so then I feel like we're clear.
No, I mean, if my team had, considered such a penalty, like I will literally like be crazy because I felt like, bro, like this is borderline shit, man. Like this is borderline, I don't know, robbery. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but anyways.
But technically speaking,
Exactly.
you
Technically speaking, it's a pen. That's why I mentioned, like, technically speaking, it's a pen because, like, the defender's right feet was in the box, although Hendrick was physically outside of the box. But because, like, his right feet was in the box, it means that he committed the foul while in the box.
right.
So, like, because of this, but again, maybe there's a better explanation for that. So, like, we're like, technical analysts and shit like that. So maybe not would be to see. But as you rightly pointed, like, credit to Hendrick, man, like, that guy is an absolute bowler. Bison, as just to borrow a word, like, I don't know, man. Honestly, like, I always I keep getting surprised by Hendrick, man, because the point is not everyone will turn and just go into that small, window that he did.
Exactly.
The path was just to
Everybody
turn
takes shots
more
from
back.
30 yards.
True as well. True as well. That's also true. And also, they had the combination with Kylian Mbappe just, I think almost in the last action of the game where, like Kylian just, laid the ball off to him and he kind of like almost, curled the
Yeah,
ball,
yeah,
but
yeah.
get the angle
But
that much.
it went high.
Yeah, he couldn't get the angle that much and also couldn't keep the ball down. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like Hendrick is someone that looks like he might have a very bright future for Real Madrid, man. And honestly, like you get to see
I agree. Yeah.
you get to see like the hype was actually the hype was actually quite is there, like the hype is worth it,
And it does feel like he's someone who's next on the list of waiting to start games. If Fran Garcia and Arda Güler are getting to start, then maybe Endrick's right there. The moment Mbappe gets benched, you know that Endrick's coming on.
I'm not too sure about that, man, because I kind of feel like okay,
If
right
he's
now.
done it with Arda and if he's done with the Fran,
But the point is like even when you take out like Kylian Mbappe or when you take out Vinicius or when you take out Rodrigo, but these two attackers are still there, and then you throw in Arda Güler, like that's the thing that
only for
happens.
an odd game, man. Come on.
No, no, of course I know like in the odd game it's gonna happen, but I'm just thinking that like maybe Andrew gets to start again, but I'm just trying to see like okay, like how does like the mathematics work? Okay, let's
Yeah,
say
that's a different question, and that's up to Carlo how he decides to do it. Whether it's a two striker thing or Endrick alone.
I would love to see that, actually, and I saw you actually were asking also about you were mentioning the fact that, like maybe taking off Rodrigo for Endrick, to see Kylian Mbappe playing on the left and Endrick through the middle as well. That could be, an
That's a
interesting.
possibility, yes.
Exactly. I think actually that's the thing. Like I think both Mbappe and Endrick and actually Rodrigo Vinicius can all play together, I do think. I think
Uh,
especially Rodrigo, I think they all can play together in the same starting 11. But of course, like the question now becomes like what
where
do
do
you
you draw the line with balance then?
exactly. What do you sacrifice for this? Like the balance. So that's the thing. Like as Carlo loves to talk about the balance a lot. So it's gonna be it's gonna be quite interesting to see. And we have some chat here about Hendrik as well with Sunil saying Hendrik has a better impact than Mbappe. Yes, you heard that right. And Ashik was also giving another huge praise that Hendrik reminds him of Romario. Similar build, has a killer shot, plays without fear and hungry for goals. So this is the thing, like I think Hendrik, like has earned and deserved all the praise that he's gotten rightly, and
True.
I do think he's a player that definitely uh we would love to see more of, and we will keep getting surprised because I mean, how many people watched him while he was playing in Brazil? Like at least I didn't see even a single game of him while he was playing for Palmeiras in Brazil. Okay, of course for the national team we saw the games, but we didn't see the club games. So like I think a lot of us like are not exactly sure what to expect from Hendrik, except for what
Exactly, yeah.
and all that. And then you come and you watch Hendrik for the past, I don't know, basically 1 month, and you're like, yeah, okay, this is why the hype was there. You understand what people are talking about. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see. I do think it's going to be quite interesting to see for the next couple of weeks, and especially because of the games that we have, I do think we will get to the point where you're talking about like there is going to be those games
Rotations, yeah.
that end at Crystal. All right, folks. I think we can just casually round this up. I don't know if Sahel, if you have any last comments or anything that you think we missed to highlight from the game.
No, I feel like you pretty much covered every aspect of what you had to say. Um, yeah, at the end of the day, a 4-1 win is never gonna leave you disappointed, especially with a performance like that. I feel like the performances that preceded this game were dodgy at best, and Stuttgart was still an upgrade, but today was just blistering counter-attacking like football. And Espanyol in the first half they held through for a goalless halftime, but um, even though they got that free goal, what you described as a free goal, uh, we were pretty much sure to get back in the game because of the way we were playing, right? The impact that we were leaving on each attack and each counter attack, it was just sublime to see. And it's more of what Real Madrid should look like every game. It's not just how it's not just the opponent, or it's not just the stadium or something like that. Yeah. Every game and every opponent you expect Madrid to play like this. And it's not a methodical thing. It's not like somebody who's a purist saying this, but just a Madrid fan, I expect Madrid to play this way week in, week out, be it Athletic, be it Barca. This intensity and this like desire for scoring goals uh, is something you expect. It's the bare minimum with this team, with this caliber of players, and with this setup that we've had. So yeah, I think except for the fact that we were not clinical enough in moments, and that's been a consistent worry. But it'll go away eventually. It's not that big of a deal. It's not something to dwell upon. Overall, I'm pretty pleased, and yeah,
Yeah,
over to
man,
you.
that's it. Like, I think now we have like 9 goals in the league and like 5 of them are pens. So like, that also says a lot about the finishing that you mentioned, like there is a lack of finishing from open play. And hopefully, I think today we had 4 goals and 3 of them were from open play. So I hope, like that will at least be a platform to build on, going into the future games because we need to start scoring goals from open play. Honestly, we can just rely on, winning pens and what's it. But I also think winning pens also is an ability because it tells that like our
I
players are
agree.
and too skillful for the defenders, and the only way is just to chop them down. So that's fair. I have no issues with that. Um, yeah. So
If somebody watched just the last 15 minutes, just to add here, if somebody watched just the last 15 minutes of today's game, they'd say, okay, that was a ruthless performance, but the rest of it was not quite.
exactly that exactly that's what the ruthlessness is what we need to find. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we both highlighted like Kylian Mbappe actually is finding the groove, but that ruthlessness is what remains lacking. So I do think with time, we will get there. We will
Yeah.
we will find that ruthlessness as well. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking us with us. Like it's been 1 hour plus, but yeah, let's just quickly round this up. Firstly, let's shout out to our partners on Instagram, Real Madrid Committee, and you can go to check out their Instagram link below in the description, and check out their stuff that they have a lot of cool posts on Real Madrid and what's not, and also, continue to support us, continue to support the podcast through our sponsors. We have Manscaped, for all the male grooming, and, also they have some female apparels as well. So that's shirts and shorts as well, and they have actually a lot of good stuff, for starting from, I think, around $9, $10, all the way to, the high-end products, just use the code LBR20 for 20% discount at your checkout. And furthermore, also you can support us through our second sponsors, Fanatics. Fanatics, is their official merch partners with La Liga and Real Madrid, so you can get your cool Real Madrid jerseys from there, and you can also find the links to Fanatics, using our code down in the description below. And with that, I sign out by saying Ala Madrid.
Hala Madrid, guys. Good night.